Hey, job seekers, welcome to episode 2 of the JobsPlus JobsCast. The JobsCast is our virtual job fair where the premise is pretty simple. We check in with a local employer that has some immediate openings, and we pull back the curtain and chat with some insiders that have some perspective on culture, pay, hours, benefits, and more. In today's episode, I'm excited to introduce you to WestRock, maker of paper and packaging products right here in Solvay. And if after the JobsCast today you're interested in applying, talk to your job coach about taking the next steps. If you have a question, feel free to drop it in the chat, and we're going to do our best to answer it at the end. I do want to warn you, we're having some technical difficulties today, but we're going to try to go ahead as scheduled and see if we can make this work. But if you have any issues, we understand that you need to drop off, and we will try it again at a later time. At JobsPlus, we believe in what we call empowerment through employment, and it's our goal to inspire our job seekers to gain the freedom and power to become who you want to be as you discover self-sufficiency through the work you're paid to do. But getting there takes effort. Here's what I want you to think about as you enjoy the conversation today. Whether this is the employer for you or not, what is one thing that you're going to do today that is going to differentiate you from who you were yesterday? In other words, how can you just be 1% closer to your goals? How can you be 1% closer to empowerment and 1% closer to employment today and each day from here on out? And hopefully by the end of today's broadcast, technical difficulties or not, I hope you have your answer. So with that, we're going to jump into today's conversation. And again, there might be a little bit of a delay before our guests start speaking, just because we are having the technical difficulties. But I want you to meet Peter Tantalo and Justin Heath from WestRock. I met Pete and Justin through a discussion they were having with some other workforce development agencies in town around diversifying their workforce. And they have a genuine desire to see WestRock fully represent the community they live, work, and play in, and have a high regard for diversity becoming the strength of their team. In just a second, I'm going to turn off my camera to make sure that we have an opportunity to hear them best and not taking up too much bandwidth. So I'm going to go dark. But gentlemen, tell us a little bit about WestRock, and if you can give us a quick overview and specifically the journey that you've taken over the last year around diversity.
Sure. Yeah. So again, I'm Peter Tantalo, the general manager here at the Solvay Mill. And maybe I'll start with just a global view, since we're not necessarily a household name. But WestRock is a fiber-based packaging company. We are number 177 in the Fortune 500. We employ nearly 50,000 people at 300 locations across the globe. Locally, we produce paper at our mill in Solvay, New York, that goes into making cardboard boxes. We call them corrugated boxes. We're producing rolls of paper 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year in Solvay. That are then distributed to converting sites across primarily the Northeast United States and Canada that convert our paper into a cardboard box. We produce about 800,000 tons a year of paper, and in doing that, we are 100% recycled, and we procure and consume about 900,000 tons a year of old corrugated containers that again come from the Northeast United States and Canada. It's a little bit of what we do, and at a very high level. So I'm going to take you all through a virtual tour. This is I think a little over 4 minutes. I'll just talk over the top of it to give you an idea of what we do, how we do it inside of a paper mill, which isn't necessarily common knowledge to people. So here's the outside shot of our mill, located in Solvay, New York, on Milton Avenue. We sit relatively close to the state fairgrounds to give you a landmark. In addition to producing the paper that I talked about, we also make steam and clean water. But this is a video shot from the west end of our property to give you an idea of the proximity to the city of Syracuse. So you can see the Carrier Dome and the city off in the background, and the lake, Onondaga Lake, to the left, and the mall at the far left-hand corner of the video. Give you an idea where we're located and sit in a fairly urban setting. So as I said, other than paper, we clean the process water before sending it to the Onondaga County treatment system. sits by the mall, and we also have two boilers that produce steam. So we'll now go inside of the mill. So our building is 1/3 of a mile long. We have 3 paper machines, and we're going to take a look at the process that we use to make paper. So that starts by the receiving of our old corrugated containers in bales that are wire bound. Each bale weighs 1,000 to 1,500 pounds. This is a role that typically would be one of our entry-level jobs. So our employee is going to be responsible for receiving the truck, grading the material, and then feeding it into our production line. The bales are pushed onto a moving conveyor. The moving conveyor then moves the bales underneath a wire cutter, as you see here. The wires are severed. We actually feed the wires into our process to entangle other materials. As I always tell people, anything that you could imagine is in your home or your office will wind up in these bales of paper, and we have to be prepared to take them out. The bales then drop into a large vat that has a very large motor at the bottom with a agitator. Looks like a supersized wearing blender that you might have in your house. And the mechanical action breaks the bales down to individual fiber levels and separates the materials that are reject materials. After the fiber is cleaned, we then dilute that fiber and take it to our paper machine. So this is the beginning of the paper machine, what we call the wet end, because the paper starts out, or the stock starts out at about 99 parts water and 1 part fiber. When the paper's dry, it will be approximately 92 parts fiber and 8 parts water. So we really do a reversal of water to fiber in the paper making process. The water is drained out through gravity, vacuum, as well as we squeeze the water out. But ultimately, we need to dry the paper, and that's why we have the 2 boilers that we talked about. The paper goes over these large round cylinders that are heated. They're about 300 degrees Fahrenheit on the surface, and they literally boil the water out of the paper. We have really a contained area where we do that, so that we try to recover as much heat and the moist air that we possibly can, so that we can reuse the heat and the water. At the end of the process, the paper is dried, and it's about, as I said, 92% fiber. It's a continuous process. So ideally, it doesn't stop. We convey the paper web onto a new spool, and the old spool full of paper, about 25 tons, is then fed into a slitting system where we cut the large parent reel down into small rolls that weigh about 3 tons apiece, and they're cut to size for our customers depending upon their equipment size and the style or the type of box that they're going to produce. Once the rolls is complete, we prepare it for shipping by placing 2 bands on the roll and a label that has a barcode. This is a shot in our warehouse at the final step, where our employee with a clamp truck is going to take that roll and place it, in this case, into a truck. We also ship via rail. And each roll, as I said, has a barcode, so it's scanned in and out of inventory so that we know where it is and who it's being shipped to. And the roll is placed into the truck and shipped to our customers. Our customers are anywhere in the Northeast United States and Canada. We typically ship in a radius of about 400 miles around the city of Syracuse. That's just a shot of the roll sitting in the truck. So that's it, John.
That's great. And hopefully you can hear me.
Yep.
Perfect. So give us an idea of the journey you've taken over the last year towards diversifying your workforce.
Sure. I'll talk a little bit about it, and then I'll hand it over to Justin. I'll look a little retrospectively, then I'll let Justin talk about what we're doing today and our path forward for the future. So for many years, the mill, we've been actively involved with MACNY, Center State CEO, Partners for Education and Business, PTech, and really have been a part of the community. More than a year ago, Justin and I, as part of that activities, recognized that our demographic, our population here at the mill of 270 employees does not represent or does not mirror the demographics that exist in the community that we sit in the Solvay and the city of Syracuse. And we made a commitment to ourselves and to our mill that we were going to work to change that. And we believe we'll do that through relationships. And Justin, I'll let you take it from there and talk a little bit about the work that we've done over the last 6 or 7 months in the area of diversity and inclusion.
Sure. So, for one of the things we wanted to do, and we realized pretty quickly as we were starting to conceptualize our conversations, as Pete referenced about a year and a half ago, year ago, is that we needed to get a little bit more proactive with our learning. So for the last 6 months or so, we've partnered with a local agency named Access Global in order to proactively learn the skills necessary to not only build, but also support a diverse workforce within our facility. Our intention really is to provide an atmosphere and a culture that supports our mill and meets our mill and corporate objectives, as well as providing tools to our leaders and employees to continually learn and improve the skill sets that we feel are necessary within this critical arena of diversity and inclusion. One of the things we know for sure, and we set as a goal of our mill and of our leadership team is that we needed to really accomplish this by seeking out community leaders and partners such as JobsPlus and the avenue we're taking today. And we really want to find a way to build partnerships out in the community so that we can build real strong and lasting relationships within the community to support our objective to have our mill population more closely mirror our city of Syracuse population, let's say. So that's really where we're at right now.
Yeah, I was really inspired to hear you guys making that move and really being intentional about that. So that's why I was excited to introduce everybody to WestRock specifically. Pete, Justin, can you give us a little bit of an idea about the roles that you're currently hiring for, the hours, schedule, rate of pay, whatever you can kind of let our job seekers in on in terms of what it's like to work at WestRock?
Yeah, so I can touch on a couple of the highlights there, John. Right now, we're actively recruiting for a handful of leadership roles within the mill in our purchasing, operations, and maintenance departments. We're also looking for some more entry-level positions. We have a storekeeper position open currently, which is an entry-level inventory role that supports our mill operations and maintenance teams. It's really a great opportunity for anyone that's detail-oriented. Has the ability to process transactions quickly and accurately. We also have mechanical and electrical maintenance technician positions, which require some skills mechanically or electrically to start, but we do have a very robust training process to allow for the success of that candidate to become a long-term employee here at the mill. And lastly, we have our team support technician, which is one of our qualified area technician roles. It's our more entry-level position here at the mill. Pete showed you the inbound process with the forklift pushing bales of material onto the conveyor, and the outbound process, which are two warehouse positions, both equally important to our mill, 2 of 9 skills on the machine. The entry-level position starts at approximately $20.05 an hour. I think it is $20.05 actually, with a top rate of $41.21. We have an expectation when we hire people that we don't hire for the warehouse. We hire people to be the paper makers of the next generation of this mill's history. So every person is in a pay for skills system. So every skill you get that's supported by your team and our training advisory committee helps you get more pay. We have a new class that's been here since November. They started at $20.05. I think 3 of the 4 are already gaining their first skill and moving to $23.50 approximately an hour right now. So it's a pretty quick pathway. Within 5 to 6 months, you can be getting your first skill. And then it's a progressionary move and advancement through the operations process from there. Our roles, all of our roles have a full benefit suite that includes health, dental, vision, life and disability insurance, along with 401k. And we also have a bonus opportunity here at the mill that gets approved by our senior leadership team that really measures key metrics from within the mill.
Yeah, I think that's great. It's great to hear that there's a lot of opportunity to move up, and some great benefits there. Tell us a little bit, Justin or Pete, the application all the way to onboarding. How does that look? I know you guys are determined to get the right people in the right seats on the bus, so to speak. So tell me a little bit about that process.
Yeah, so it's I would say a pretty robust process. We have it starts with the application that's done on WestRock.com. On the careers tab, all of our positions are posted there. We have a series of assessments. We have a first assessment, which is a fit assessment, really gets at culturally, work ethic, safety, some of your more basic job required skill sets. And then there's a secondary assessment where we bring folks in, allow them to see the mill in person, not on a video, hopefully. And that's more of a technical assessment. It has basic math, basic arithmetic, basic reading, writing, some mechanical aptitude type questions. It's not impossible test, but it does allow us to ascertain the skill sets of the individuals we're interviewing. From there, you move on to an interview process, which is done with a team of peers within the mill. So it'll be operators. In this case, if we're talking about the team support role, that supports our team-based culture here at the mill, our team concept organization. After the interview, we select individuals and candidates to receive an offer. We contact them and begin the background process, which is a pretty basic background check, along with a pre-employment physical and drug screen process. And then after that, we move to an onboarding process, which currently is 4 weeks. It's mixed between training and some hands-on opportunities within the mill to learn the mill, the folks that work here, the processes, the skills that are going to be required to be successful here. So it's quite a process. It's one that we're pretty proud of, and I think we've been pretty successful with it over time.
I just reiterate that it's a rigorous process because, like Justin said, we're hiring for the future operators of the mill, and our intention is to not have people stay stagnant. We need them to and help them procure more skills so that they can move through the process and help us get better.
Justin, I know the process to move up from one role to the next, there's a little bit to it. Could you just kind of, 30 seconds to a minute, just kind of describe what that looks like?
So again, everyone that we hire into our operations world starts as what we call a team support technician. It's basically our first skill. It allows you to understand the mill concepts, the mill procedures, and then you then get put on the training plan by your team. So we have a production training advisory committee. We meet every 5 weeks. It's a group of operating technicians, and what we do is we try to hit a key metric of skills inventory within our operations teams. From there, we identify the candidates from the teams that need skills in a certain area to support the mill, and then we begin the training process there. So basically, it's a team-based approach. The teams meet regularly and talk about the skills. We have a one-on-one mentoring process, which really supports the training. So if I was training on the dry end winder process, and Pete was my mentor, then he takes the active role in transferring that knowledge to me. And we have conversations and training ongoing from hands-on to on-skill demonstration to basically a soak time to show that we can do the job after. So
that's great.
Quite a process, but you do have the opportunity to advance based on your progression of skills and the team's needs, and the mill's needs.
I just want to thank everybody for putting up with some of these technical difficulties. And if you're interested in employment at WestRock, check out their website, touch base with your job coach. If you're listening today and found yourself saying, man, I'd love to work there, but I want to remind you that an obstacle in your way can either be a stepping stone or a stumbling block. And I want to just again, remind you that our coaches are barrier breakers. If you have an issue from transportation to childcare, anything that you just see as a stumbling block, our coaches, our job coaches, your job coach, are going to turn those into stepping stones. They can do that with you and for you. It just takes a little cooperation on everybody's end to make that happen. If you don't know how to reach your coach, I want to encourage you to visit the Job Seeker page on our website, jobsplus.org/jobseekers. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom where there's a form, you can leave them a message and they will be happy to help you out. But before I let you go, I just want to make a quick request. If you found the content today helpful, I'd encourage you to hit the like button on this video in particular and hit that red subscribe button on the platform you're enjoying this content on. If it's YouTube, I'd encourage you to click the bell also to be reminded when we have some of these future live streams or any new content that we upload. So as a reminder, you can find all of our social media at the top and bottom of jobsplus.org. Give us a like or a follow. One thing I do want to point out, our Job Seeker group on Facebook. This group is exclusively for Jobs Plus job seekers and alumni of our program. So join the group, answer the questions, and once you're approved, right there on our Facebook page, you'll begin to see a steady stream of job opportunities of employers that we're working with specifically to help you get through some of the application processes. And beyond that, you can ask questions, network within the group. You're not going to want to pass that up. And finally, our JobsCast goes live about 3 times per month, typically on a Friday. We're not too hung up on that schedule, but consider yourself invited to our next JobsCast this Friday at 2 p.m. with Hilton Area Hotels. They have openings all around town, and you're not going to want to miss this one. So with that, I want to just say, let's get to work.